we go. Good morning. We are live. I can see you guys popping in there at the bottom of my screen. So thank you very much for joining us today for another webinar from ITWeb. Today brought to you in collaboration with Veeam. We are talking about turn up the BaaS with Veeam Data Cloud. BaaS being, of course, backup as a service. A way for you to secure your data, your files, pretty much the things that run your organization in a secure way. It's become very crucial today in terms of security, for one. You don't want your data to disappear, but there's also a question of access. It's a question of compliance, tax records, even things like configuration files. There's a lot that we need to back up today. Then we get into questions about storage, the cost of storage, access. There are many good reasons to motivate why you would want to use backup as a service. However, not all backup as a services, if you would allow for that, are the same. There are nuances to think about them, and that's why we are looking at Veeam today, who are going to take us through not only their service. They are first going to look a little bit more at the trends in data backup and recovery, and also then the business case for backup as a service. But before we jump into all of that, my name is James Francis. I'm going to be your host for today for this webinar. We've got two presenters coming up, as well as a Q&A at the end. And with that in mind, firstly, if you are joining us again, thank you very much for joining us. Very glad to have you guys here and hope you're going to enjoy today's content. And if it's your first time joining us, thank you very much as well for taking the next hour of your time to learn more about backup as a service. We try to be very informative here. We also try to be very interactive, which is why we have the chat section on the right hand of the screen. In that chat section, you are welcome to just pop in your name, tell us where you're from, which company, which part of the country. Put in your comments about backup as a service or backup in general. And also, please drop in your questions. That is where we will be getting our questions. That'll go for the Q&A at the end. A note on that, if you do pop in a question, you see it disappears. That means we've moved it to the Q&A tab. It means we are going to be answering it. So don't panic if your question disappears. It means we have noticed it. But please use that to be interactive. This is your chance to find out more from our experts, but also your chance to interact with other people in the country about this topic. So that space is for you. We often get asked this, and yes, the session is being recorded while it is live right now. The recording will be made available within the next week, basically through the correspondence that you did for registering for this webinar. So please keep an eye out for that in case you can't see the whole event, or if you'd like to revisit it or share it with somebody else, keep an eye on that. If you'd like to find out anything more today about the event, the presentations, the presenters, if you'd like to contact Veeam, you can always contact the ITWeb events team. It's events@itweb.co.za. Or alternatively, go and have a look at the correspondence when you registered that email chain. There should be information in there to help you as well to correspond with any information you want around this webinar or any of our future webinars. And then with that, yes, we're going to jump straight into our topic today. So I want to start this topic by saying that according to Veeam, 82% of organizations are highly likely to adopt backup as a service or disaster recovery as a service in the next 2 years. And I imagine quite a few of them are using it already because there's a lot of benefits to using backup as a service. I'm pretty sure most of you are already using email as a service online or other forms of as a service, software as a service being the general term. Backup as a service makes a lot of sense, especially for certain types of workloads and scenarios. It is also not inconceivable that larger companies might run a hybrid system, backing some things up locally, some things up in the cloud via a service. The benefits are obviously of backup as a service is it's more accessible, it's more annuity-based, being subscription-based, so it's easy to manage the costs. It's also easier to scale. We're going to jump into that later, though, but what the topic I just want to start with here today is to say that not all backups are the same. You have limitations. Some backups are batch-based, some are not. You've got network bandwidth and latency issues to consider. You have to think about the impact on your production systems. You have to think about the data volume and the change rates, meaning how often the data changes. And there's even application consistency. If your backups are out of sync with how certain applications work, especially multi-tiered ones, it could lead to corruption problems. So what I'm getting at is backup needs nuance. And the way that we can describe nuance in the backup world is a concept called recovery point objective, or RPO. And a flexible RPO is actually very important, not only in terms of disaster recovery and business continuity, but also just being able to efficiently manage backups as they fit into your business. For example, customizable RPOs so that you can decide when you can tailor specific recovery points. Maybe you want tiered backup schedules with different RPOs for different functions in the business. There are also areas to think about, such as search within backup. You don't want to back up everything you put out there. How do you find the right things in there? And then also, how easy is it to initiate backup restoration processes? As you can see, there's a lot more to backup and backup as a service than just, swiping your credit card and uploading some files. So we're going to be unpacking that a little bit more with our experts from Veeam. So I want to quickly introduce them so we can see their faces before we jump into the conversation. You please welcome, first, he is Veeam Africa Senior Territory Manager, Gareth Clements, and then also Veeam Africa Senior Systems Engineer, Drian Odendaal. Gareth, Drian, how are you guys doing today?
All good here. Thanks, James. Thanks for having us. Great to be here.
Yeah, good, James. Thank you.
We've also got a nice national team here. Gareth is sitting in Stellenbosch, Drian's sitting in Pretoria. So really looking forward to what they're going to present to us today. Gareth, I'm going to be handing over to you, and let's jump in and get this started. Thank you.
Just bringing up our slides here.
Perfect. I can see them. Thank you.
Is that all good?
All good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Okay. Yeah, so as James said, my name is Gareth Clements. I'm the Senior Territory Manager for Veeam, based down here in Cape Town. And I'd like to welcome everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar. I'm going to talk about some of the latest backup and recovery trends, why BaaS is such an attractive option for so many customers. I'm going to touch on some statistics in data backup and recovery, exploring how businesses are adapting to the challenges of data security, compliance, and increasing data volumes. Also going to discuss why backup as a service is becoming a critical solution for modern enterprises, offering enhanced scalability, cost effectiveness, and business continuity. Hopefully by the end, you'll have a better understanding of the current backup landscape and why BaaS could be the key to future-proofing your organization's data protection strategy, and why Veeam should be your solution of choice. To start quickly, we're going to have a little poll just to get an idea of your views on backup as a service.
Perfect.
James, I don't know if you can still hear me. Will you be able to let me know once I can move beyond this?
Okay, let's quickly jump into that. So if you guys see, we've activated the poll there just below the chat icon. What does backup as a service mean to you? It's two options: deliver it by the actual software provider, but through a service, or backup server or service runs from the cloud. I think, Gareth, while they quickly vote, do you find that there are still misconceptions about BaaS in the market, or does the market generally understand what it represents?
I think it generally understands. You obviously get derivatives of it. It can be through, like a lot of the concepts are that it is delivered by the actual vendor. So that is certainly where some people feel, and whether it needs to run on cloud, whether there needs to be a web portal, others is just offloading some of the effort. So it's definitely a little bit of a misconception on exactly what it is.
We'll definitely hopefully clear it up today. So thank you for that. Let's end this poll there. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds to just get your last replies in there. And there we go. Let's close it off. Okay, so what does backup as a service mean for you? Delivered by the actual software provider, but through a service. 36% voted for that. 63% though say backup server or service run from the cloud. Thank you for voting. I'm going to pop this into the chat so we can have the results there. And then thank you, Gareth. Back to you.
Okay. So I think every organization faces similar challenges nowadays, protecting its IT infrastructure and data while simultaneously trying to grow the business, pursuing new initiatives. And considering today's cyber threat landscape, particularly with the rise of ransomware attacks, leaving critical workloads unprotected is just simply not an option. So this is forcing organizations to forego growth in favor of safety. And BaaS and DRaaS as a service can provide the critical support and protections that organizations need to stop focusing all their energy on maintenance and to start looking to the future. Plus, the ability to recover applications in the cloud, if and when needed, cuts the cost and complexity of recovery. With business continuity assured, IT professionals and any size organization can focus on the future. They can guide the organization and focus on innovative solutions to the challenges and business opportunities. BaaS provides businesses with automated backup and recovery capabilities, architecture managed by the software provider or the service providers, and backups are managed and stored in cloud environments, allowing remote access. So I'm going to start with I think we need to have a little bit of bragging to highlight some of Veeam's credibilities when it comes to cyber resilience. As the #1 global market leader in data protection and ransomware recovery, organizations everywhere trust us to keep their most important assets, their data, available anytime, anywhere. We have a market-leading Net Promoter Score of 75, which shows a remarkably high customer satisfaction with Veeam solutions. We're in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for the 6th year in a row. And finally, Veeam addresses the needs of large, complex enterprises. In fact, 4 out of 5 Fortune 500 companies choose Veeam to keep their businesses running. According to the IDC, Veeam is the #1 vendor in market share for data replication and protection. We've earned this position by consistently delivering innovative, reliable, and high-performing solutions for data backup, disaster recovery, and replication across on-premise, cloud, and hybrid environments. Our data recovery capabilities offer significantly faster recovery times, with the IDC also stating that Veeam provides 5 times faster recovery for mission-critical applications compared to the industry average. Data portability is one of Veeam's key differentiators in the backup and recovery space. Veeam enables businesses to seamlessly move, protect, and recover data across on-premise, hybrid, and multi-cloud platforms. This flexibility in data management allows organizations to effortlessly migrate workloads between different platforms, ensuring their data is always accessible, recoverable, and compliant. In addition, we're #1 for the number of mailboxes being protected, #1 in hybrid and multi-cloud, with our Kasten product, we're #1 in protecting Kubernetes workloads. Just to touch on alliances, strategic alliances and partnerships are an important component to our market-leading solutions. One key partnership is our partnership with Microsoft, which brings together Microsoft's AI innovation and Veeam's leadership position as a #1 data replication and protection provider globally. This partnership drives continuous product innovation, delivering single pane of glass management with continuous Veeam Data Cloud expansion across Microsoft 365, Azure, Intra ID, and more, providing the most secure storage for backup and recovery data with Veeam Vault built on Azure, and introducing features for better threat detection and data posture through Veeam Intelligence on VDC. So now to get into the backup trends, to be honest, backups have never been the most exciting part of IT. For years, it's been seen as a necessary but often overlooked grudge purchase, sort of like insurance. Something that's just there in the background, ticking away without much fanfare until something goes wrong. Any focus on setting up backups has been simply because we have to, not because it's something that sparks excitement or innovation. However, in recent years, especially with the rapid rise of cyber threats like ransomware, backups have gone from being an afterthought to a critical pillar of business continuity. They're no longer just about storing data for the sake of compliance or avoiding an inconvenience data loss. Today, backups are the line of defense against increasingly sophisticated attacks that can cripple businesses overnight. Ransomware attacks in particular have made it painfully clear that without solid backup systems in place, entire organizations can be brought to their knees. So while backups may not have the glamour of cutting-edge technologies like AI or blockchain, they're undeniably at the heart of an effective cybersecurity strategy. Let me just go to pull this whole slide up. There you go. So organizations are significantly increasing their IT budget allocation for cyber recovery and resiliency in response to the growing frequency, sophistication, and impact of cyber threats. This shift reflects the evolving recognition that traditional cybersecurity measures alone are no longer enough to fully protect against the full spectrum of cyber risks. A few reasons why this growing focus on cyber recovery and resiliency is so significant include the following. The rising threat landscape. Cyber attacks such as ransomware and data breaches have become far more frequent. Organizations are no longer defending against random attacks, but are increasingly the targets of very well-funded, highly skilled threat actors. And cyber criminals are leveraging evolving tactics to infiltrate the systems and hold the data hostage, making traditional security protocols insufficient. As a result, businesses are allocating more resources towards cyber recovery, the ability to quickly restore operations and minimize the impact of an attack. There's also the need for business continuity, as cyber incidents can cause massive disruptions, leading to prolonged downtime, operational bottlenecks, and significant financial losses, as well as irreparable reputational damage. Focusing on cyber recovery and resiliency is a shift from being reactive to proactive. Data protection solutions like immutable backups, replication across multiple sites, and cloud-based recovery options give organizations the tools to reduce the impact of any potential breach. There's also regulatory and compliance pressures. As data protection laws are becoming stricter, organizations are under increasing pressure to ensure that they can quickly recover from cyber incidents and safeguard their sensitive data. So here we can see some market trends and what customers expect to see in the next 3 years. So certainly more BaaS, embedded cybersecurity being introduced, common solution being utilized to protect on-premise and cloud workloads, and leveraging integrated AI. I've got a couple of slides now from our ransomware trends report. You can clearly see here that threat actors are going after the backups as they know this is your last line of defense. This is your only chance to avoid paying the ransom once your production data has been encrypted. It's clearly preferable to be able to recover from clean backups and avoid ransom payments, particularly when considering the last stat here, which actually shouldn't be surprising considering you are negotiating with criminals. Together with a small percentage of organizations that are able to recover without paying a ransom, this paints a pretty grim picture and is certainly motivation to ensure you have clean, immutable, and recoverable backups. What is interesting on this slide is that 89% of organizations found that the actual ransom payment was not even their largest financial impact of a ransomware attack. So this clearly highlights the potential cost of downtime to organizations. So as James mentioned, Microsoft Office 365 and SaaS offerings are growing at the moment, and cyber attacks often target Microsoft and its products due to the widespread use of its software, the complexity of its systems, and the critical role that these tools play in businesses and governments worldwide. The widespread adoption of Microsoft products makes it a highly attractive target because compromising them can lead to a large-scale impact and access to critical data. With the rapid adoption of Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365, which includes email, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams, cloud-based services have become prime targets. Cloud environments often store critical business data, communications, and documents. Cyber attacks targeting Azure or Office 365 can allow attackers to compromise sensitive data, disrupt operations, or steal intellectual property. And email remains, one of the most common attack vectors for cyber criminals. And since Microsoft Outlook is one of the most widely used email clients globally, it's often targeted in phishing campaigns. Since Microsoft 365 is heavily integrated with email and collaboration tools, compromising the email accounts can often give attackers access to the entire platform. So Veeam recently acquired a company called ITWeb, which is a cybersecurity company that specializes in ransomware recovery and incident response. They provide businesses with a range of services designed to help organizations recover from ransomware attacks, including decryption assistance, negotiating with cyber criminals, and post-attack remediation. ITWeb offers expert guidance through this whole recovery process and helps organizations restore their data, minimize downtime, and mitigate any future threats. This is some interesting real-world data from ITWeb. Of particular interest and concern is the average time until an organization is fully recovered. They find that 28 days is what they've observed. 22 days, apologize. And this is the number one piece of advice from an expert who deals with ransomware attacks and cyber breaches daily from ITWeb. When organizations practice their disaster recovery processes, they become more prepared for real-world disasters. With cyber threats like ransomware and data breaches on the rise, practicing disaster recovery is critical for ensuring that an organization is prepared to handle such attacks. A well-practiced DR plan helps teams respond quickly in a cyber attack, mitigate the damage, and recover compromised systems and data. So our research has shown that for many reasons, the BaaS market is going to continue to grow. These reasons include reduced upfront and operational costs and a scalable pricing model, simplified management and automated backups and centralized management, enhanced security and built-in compliance features, faster recovery, reliable uptime, and geographic redundancy, increased scalability and flexibility, allow organizations to grow backup capacity as needed and to access their data remotely, and improving operational focus by outsourcing the backup complexity, which allows internal resources to focus on innovation. And backup as a service becoming an increasingly popular choice for organizations looking to protect their critical data, and for good reason. When considering backup as a service versus traditional software only, there are some key differences that make BaaS an attractive option for many businesses. With a software-only backup solution, businesses are responsible for purchasing, installing, configuring, managing, and maintaining the software and the hardware. This can lead to significant overhead in terms of IT staff time, training, hardware management. Backup as a service, on the other hand, is a fully managed service where the provider handles all aspects of the backup infrastructure. This means there's no need to manage or maintain physical hardware, no worry about software updates or patches, no need for dedicated staff to monitor or troubleshoot. In short, BaaS allows businesses to offload the technical complexity, which saves time, reduces operational costs, and allows teams to focus on more strategic tasks. With a software-only backup solution, scalability can be a challenge. As data volumes grow, businesses may need to invest in more storage, licenses, and IT resources to keep up with the increased backup needs. This can lead to significant capital expenditure and require ongoing management. BaaS, however, is inherently scalable. Since the service is cloud-based, businesses can easily scale their backup storage up or down based on their evolving needs, without worrying about capacity planning, hardware procurement, or maintenance. So this flexibility ensures that businesses only pay for what they use, making it more cost-efficient, especially for businesses that are experiencing growth. Then there's security. Ensuring data security and compliance can be a significant challenge with a software-only backup solution. Businesses are responsible for encrypting their backups, managing access controls, and ensuring that backups meet various compliance standards. With BaaS providers often have robust security frameworks in place, including encryption, multi-factor authentication, and regular audits to ensure compliance with regulatory standards. This can help businesses meet compliance requirements more easily without having to dedicate internal resources to security and compliance management. The cost structure for a backup as a service is typically subscription-based, meaning businesses pay for what they use. This pay-as-you-go model can be far more cost-effective, especially for small, medium-sized businesses, as it avoids the large upfront capital costs associated with purchasing software, hardware, and storage infrastructure. One of the ongoing responsibilities with a software-only backup solution is ensuring that the software is kept up to date, which includes applying patches and updates to maintain compatibility with security, and this can be time-consuming and requires dedicated staff. With BaaS, updates and patches are handled by the provider, ensuring that backup solution is always up to date with the latest features and security improvements. This not only saves time, but also ensures that the backup system remains effective against evolving threats. Our research has shown that companies are aware of the shortfall in their backup approach, with over half of organizations anticipating changing their primary backup solution. 85% of the organizations recognize an availability gap between how fast they could recover versus what the business processes require, and 76% recognize a protection gap between how much data they could afford to lose and how often their data is protected. In light of this, we see 92% of organizations intend to increase their data protection budgets for 2025, which is certainly up from recent years. Backup as a service has been growing rapidly, driven by the increasing reliance on cloud environments, the complexity of managing data, the need for secure, scalable, and efficient backup solutions, and some of the key trends in BaaS in 2025 include the following. As businesses increasingly move to cloud-based infrastructure, BaaS providers are offering solutions that are designed specifically for cloud-native environments. These solutions integrate seamlessly with public cloud platforms like AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, enabling backup and disaster recovery services that are scalable and elastic. The rise of ransomware attacks, BaaS providers are focusing on enhanced security features. These include immutable backups, encryption, multi-factor authentication to ensure that data is protected and can't be altered or deleted by malicious actors. Ransomware protection features are becoming a key selling point for backup providers. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are increasingly being integrated into backup solutions. These technologies can automate backup scheduling, monitor backup health, and even predict potential data loss or issues. AI can also optimize storage by analyzing data access patterns and adjusting backup frequencies accordingly. Many businesses are adopting hybrid and multi-cloud strategies to avoid vendor lock-in and ensure redundancy. BaaS providers are offering solutions that enable seamless backups across multiple cloud environments and on-premise systems, making it easier to manage diverse infrastructures. Backup as a service is also increasingly being offered with robust APIs that allow businesses to integrate backup services into their own workflows and applications. This flexibility helps organizations automate their backup processes, making it easier to maintain continuous protection across various environments. With the widespread adoption of software as a service, applications like Office 365 and Salesforce, BaaS providers are offering specific solutions tailored to backup SaaS data. These services ensure that critical data within SaaS platforms is protected and can be restored in case of accidental deletions. Now we've got another quick poll there, James.
Yes, let's pop it in. If you go back to your poll section, let me find which one there we go. Okay, we've got published. So which do you anticipate as your primary backup method in 2 years? Will it be backup using on-premises tools only or backup using cloud solutions as part of our strategy? While they're voting, Gareth, is there still reason to have on-premise? I mean, there are use cases, but what are some examples of why companies might have on-premise?
Yeah, certainly. So it depends on the data. If it's mission-critical data, it requires high latency or often depending where, like one of the people don't like sending data off out of country. So that can be a challenge sometimes if they're wanting to leverage on a hyperscaler that doesn't have an in-country offering. But so the main thing would be latency, and sometimes people just want to also hold on to, they feel like they want to hold on to the crown jewels as close as possible. So certainly you can differ from workload to workload. What is a good candidate to offload to a cloud? And there's certainly a story for keeping some stuff on premise.
Well, in this case, we can see that nobody plans to use the on-premise as their primary backup. Only 100% of the vote saying backup using cloud solution. Oh no, there we go.
Yeah.
Let's end the poll there. We've got a nicer sort. So 2% backup using only on-premises tools, and then 97% backup using cloud solutions as part of our strategy.
Yeah.
Thank you for voting, guys. I'll pop that into the chat and back to you, Gareth.
Yeah, that would be expected. Certainly didn't have your on-premise as your only tool would be not the way to go. So when considering whether to utilize a backup as a service offering, there's some easy questions you can look at to see. And if the answer is no to the above questions, you should seriously be considering a backup service. The RPOs, there probably are some backup providers that can assist you in getting a lower than 1 hour RPO. But besides that, if the answer to those questions are no, then a backup as a service is certainly something that you should be considering. So in summary, backup as a service offers a more efficient, scalable, and secure alternative to traditional software-only backup solutions. The reduced complexity, the lower upfront costs, the built-in redundancy, ease of management, all make BaaS a compelling option, especially for businesses without large IT teams or significant resources. By opting for BaaS, organizations can ensure their critical data is always protected and recoverable without the hassle of managing complex backup infrastructures themselves. So now just to touch on Veeam's market differentiators. The differentiator of Veeam Data Cloud include the ability to tailor backup frequency to an RPO of up to 1 hour, advanced e-discovery and search capabilities, granular and bulk recovery options, tiered backup schedules, self-service restores, and importantly, an exit strategy that avoids vendor lock-in. So if we're to talk about what it means for a company to pursue data resilience, Veeam looks at it across 5 core pillars. The first is data backup, as backups are often the first target of ransomware attacks, regardless of where the data resides. Next is data recovery. Traditional recovery strategies can leave businesses vulnerable, with 43% of data being unrecoverable post-attack. And then Veeam is passionate about data freedom, the ability to freely move your data whenever, wherever, and however you want. Data resilience wouldn't be possible without data security, ensuring your data is secure, immutable, and recoverable. And finally, data intelligence. Veeam is committed to making our products better and helping you drive insights from your backup data. So to getting closer in, I just wanted to touch on Entra ID. We've just released our as a service offering for Entra ID, and I think this is a very important thing to be protected, which a lot of customers possibly aren't. If a bad actor wants to take over and completely halt the business, they go after Entra ID. In 2021, Microsoft reported that over 50 million attacks on Entra ID daily, and that number has grown to 600 million in 3 years, and it's accelerating. This is not even counting human errors like misconfiguration or deletion. And when all this happens, you may think you've got a 30-day grace period, but when access is lost, people are locked out or being removed from approval lists. This takes away data from being moved to the recycle bin. So the recycle bin is not going to save you. That's why it's critical to understand the zero trust as the foundational principle to mitigate this from happening. And furthermore, from a technical standpoint, manually rebuilding a user group's memberships, permissions, configurations, and everything that goes along with how intertwined Entra ID is with all your applications, while doable for maybe 1 or 2 users, it's unscalable. And so if you're not backing it up in a manner that restores objects and their relationships, the disruption could last much longer and impact the business even more. I'd like to touch on our Veeam roadmap for VDC, which is our as a service offering. So already, what has been available for some time is our Office 365, Azure, and Vault, which is our secure immutable cloud storage, as well as the VDC offerings for our VCSPs, our Veeam service providers. In 2025 already, we've released Entra ID and SFTC. And coming this year, we have our Kasten for Kubernetes, as well as Vault on AWS and Veeam backup and replication. So for me, I just want to share these slides now. If you could look at that, we have our Veeam On coming up in San Diego, which you can join online. You can scan there to register. And then that is it from me. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much for that.
Close my screen sharing here. If you can give me a second. Yeah.
No problem. Just there we go. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Gareth. And we're going to jump over now to Drian, who will take us a little bit more into the BaaS offering.
Oh, thanks, James. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
You can't see me, though.
No, also I can't see your screen share yet. What I would suggest maybe is just quickly refresh your browser while we get that running there. Nice thing about online tech is you can very, very quickly jump into that. While we're sorting that out, please remember you can post your questions in the chat section for the Q&A after this. So please drop them in there and we can pose it to experts then. So, Drian, I see you're up, so we're going to hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, James. And thank you for everybody that's joined. We really appreciate the opportunity to share with us our solutions with you. James, you can see my screen, right?
I can see it. Turn up the BaaS with VDC in Africa.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right, cool. So I've got the fun job today, talking a little bit more about how it works, how it looks. So yes, we're going to start off with a little bit of an agenda from my side, just the shared responsibility model. I think people kind of forget about where and how this fits in to our, to not just our SaaS offerings, but also the offerings of, the likes of the public cloud hyperscalers. We're going into then Veeam Data Cloud, Veeam Data Cloud for M365, for Azure, Entra ID, Salesforce, and Vault. All right, so just before we start off with, so the shared responsibility model is a model that is designed and is, this actually was taken, screenshotted from the Microsoft site. It looks a little bit confusing, but we just have to basically focus on the dark blue, right? So everything dark blue is our responsibility, the customer's responsibility, the end user's responsibility, right? So right at the top, we see the information and data. So just because it is on the cloud, it doesn't mean that it is protected. Okay, that is unfortunately the reality. So we need to make sure that our data is protected. What that means from a software as a service or infrastructure as a service, their main mission is to keep the services up and running, meaning if you send an email, it gets received. If you upload a OneDrive file or folder, it gets uploaded, right? So they are interested in that the service is up and working. They are not interested in the data, who you give control to, what data you upload, which users have which permissions. This is why there is a shared responsibility model. And it's highly important to understand that it is our responsibility to make sure that our data, our critical data, is being protected within these SaaS platforms, right? So if you look right at, so anything on-premise, yes, we understand. Everything is our responsibility model. But this is where software as a service starts coming in, and we can share that you don't have to start looking at infrastructures, right? So easy and simple in that sense. From a Veeam data platform and a Veeam Data Cloud. So yes, we do have the Veeam Data Cloud, and we're going to focus on the SaaS offerings today. But just understand everything that we do within the SaaS can also be on-premise. We do understand that there is, data in some countries are not allowed to leave. So what do you do? Well, you need some on-premise protection to back up those critical SaaS offerings, like an Office 365 as an example, right? But the Veeam Data Platform, that's our self-managed solution, right? So whether it's looking at your data centers, your physical, your virtual machines, your on-premise environments, doing the backups and the replications there, we can protect your Office 365 backups directly into your data center, the Salesforce, Entra IDs, for Azure, the workloads running in Azure. Just remember, you can have and you can self-manage these SaaS offerings that you are utilizing from other public clouds, right? However, we're going to focus on the Veeam Data Cloud today, and this is our backup as a service. As Gareth mentioned, we have our Veeam Data Cloud for M365, our Azure Salesforce, Azure workload protection, and Salesforce, and the Entra ID. And then Vault, which I will get to as well. So here's a nice little overview of it, and we will start with our Microsoft 365 as a BaaS solution. So why do we need to protect it? Again, not just because of the shared responsibility model. We now know this. We need to protect our data. But why are there other reasons? Well, accidental deletions. This, you would still not believe, is the most percentage of accidents that are happening is accidental deletions. I know I've deleted a lot of stuff. I've needed a lot of restores. It is what it is, right? The retention and the policy, retention policy gaps or the confusion of them. Yes, Microsoft, as an example, they do give us a certain retention, right? But a retention is not a backup. And a retention has a smaller lifespan than what a backup does, right? So we can set our backups for days, months, years, forever, if you wanted to, right? Whereas a retention has a 30-day lifespan or a 30-day lifespan or a 3-month lifespan, right? So it all depends. The one thing that we kind of forget with this is typically when a user gets deleted or a user leaves the company. HR gets a message, sends a message to the IT department saying, hey, please delete the user because maybe we want to utilize his license for somebody else. He then gets, the user then gets deleted. And for 30 days within the Microsoft environment, you have the ability to restore that user. That's great. However, anything after 30 days, it gets deleted. So that user then after 30 days gets deleted. And you can imagine if there's something like a legal case against this user and they need an email or something, then it's gone. There's no way for them to then find that. And that's where, Veeam will come in and we just say, look, from a governance perspective, how long do you need to keep your data for, right? Is it 7 years, 5 years, whatever the case is? And that can depend. And you can have different retention periods for the different services that you're looking after. The internal security threats, yes, malicious insiders. We have departing employees that are angry, right? If they know a little bit about IT, now with ChatGPT and everything around, it's very easy for people to make changes and to be malicious within your environment. So again, making sure that we have backups, that they are immutable, that they cannot be deleted or modified, right? External security threats, so our ransomware. Unfortunately, we will not hear about this. This is not going to go away. This is very, very in our faces every day. We see it every day. And we need to make sure that your cyber resiliency is good from that perspective and that we can protect your data. Legal and compliance requirements, again, you need to keep it for a certain period of time. We do have a case where you can manage hybrid deployments. So you kind of half on-premise, half in the cloud. We can then obviously help you with that transition as well. And then obviously in this sense, the Teams data structure, which is very, very important. We're utilizing Teams daily, sending files, having chats, and we need to know that we can restore them. So this is it looks very complicated, but it's not. So everything on the left is managed by Veeam, right? So the components, all of the Veeam components, you do not have to do updates. You do not have to do patches. You do not have to do security checks or anything. We get third-party companies to come and check our code, make sure that it is secure. So from a maintenance and from a storage perspective, you do not have to worry about anything. Your responsibility will be on the right-hand side, right? The user control, the backups, creating the backups. When do they need to run? The restoring of them, right? And then we have very, very powerful e-discovery. So we can find a file, a contact item, or calendar item. You can be very, very granular through our e-discovery or searching capabilities. So why? We are trusted, interesting leading technology, modern, secure, and intuitive, and everything is included. But the nice thing that you need to see at the bottom there is we are now powered with Microsoft 365 backup storage. Now, you can imagine, and this goes back to the shared responsibility model. So Microsoft has recently brought out their own backup solution, okay, which is called Microsoft 365 Backup Storage. We were the first vendor to actually integrate with their Microsoft 365 Backup Storage. You would go, but why would you do that? That's almost like a competitor. Well, we've seen that we complement each other very well with their M365 Backup Storage, which we have called Express, with our Veeam Backup or Veeam Data Cloud for M365, which we call for ours is called Flex, and that will get to the next slide. However, saying that, Microsoft brought out a backup solution. So they understand that the data needs to be protected. So just because it's on the cloud doesn't mean that it's safe. That's why they brought out a backup solution, right? As simple as that. So if we go to the next slide, we can see we protect your Exchange Online, your SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, Microsoft Teams, and this is now where our the Express, the Microsoft version that we've integrated with, as well as the Flex version, which Veeam created, right? So those are the two options that you have. Express is amazing when it comes to bulk backups and bulk restores. The reason why is because they take almost like a hardware snapshot. So for the guys that know a little bit about that you can take a hardware snap, it's a very quick backup because it sits on the same storage that your data resides. So yes, it's very quick. And the same works for the Express or the Microsoft backup. They take a snapshot and it stays on your Office 365 tenant disk, right? Which is the quickest form of a backup. And then obviously from a restore perspective, they will achieve a lot better results because their data has not been placed on a different location, right? So all other backup vendors like ourselves utilize object storage, which sits outside. So yes, it will make sense that those snapshots that Microsoft takes are a lot faster, right? But together with Express and our Flex, because we are a lot more granular when it comes to recoveries. Currently, we support teams where Express does not. We have an exit strategy where Express does not because it sits on the Office 365 tenant. And this is where we complement each other. So the nice thing about this is you can actually have a combination of both, which is called premium. Okay, so Express plus Flex gives you premium. Now, premium edition is the highest tier that we have, which you can then also have. Maybe you have maybe you have like 500 users as an example, and 300 are very critical for you in your environment. You can use Express or premium for them, and for the rest of the clients, you can utilize Flex, right? So you can mix and match between Express and Flex within your Office 365 environment. And just to show, there's a little dashboard of how it looks. Very clean, neat, tidy dashboard. It's really simple to use. It's really a point and click, right? Nothing on that. The next one, VDC. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to start talking a little bit quicker. I see I have 6 minutes. But from a VDC perspective, we also protect your Azure workloads, right? So within those workloads, we're protecting your Azure VMs, your Azure SQL, Azure file shares, and your Azure virtual networks as well from our VDC portal. Okay, again, you do not have to worry about updates. You don't have to worry about any infrastructure components. You literally will log into the portal and start protecting that. Here we can see this is the how the portal looks like. And at the top right, very simple. What are we going to back up? We are going to back up virtual machines, Azure SQL, Azure files, all the Azure virtual networks. So again, very clean, very simple. Entra ID, this is awesome, right? So just as a fun fact, every single user or company that has Office 365 is utilizing Entra ID, right? Whether you know that or not, but it is everybody that has Office 365 as the least, right? And I'm not talking about whether you're running workloads within those public clouds, but does have Entra ID. Okay, Entra ID is like Active Directory, users, groups, roles, right? And those are very important. As Gareth mentioned, 4 years ago we had 50 million attacks. Now we have over 600 million attacks a day. And it's only one attack that can cause a lot of problems. So it's very important that we protect let's call it our users, our groups, and Azure AD applications, right? Not going to go into that much of this, but the fact that we can protect it. So from a dashboard perspective, also again, very clean. You'll see that there's a common theme of how the dashboard will look. Here is just a screenshot of how we can protect the users. You can restore either the entire user, or you can compare and restore, right? So maybe you just deleted the user within Grady Archie in this example that is highlighted. We can compare to see what is currently on the backup versus what is in production. So it might be that you've just deleted the email address, or the telephone number, or the street address. You can basically go as granular as restoring those child objects within the main object. So users, same with groups, administrative units, roles, and applications. Very important that we protect that so that we can restore them, even if you made a mistake in that sense. VDC for Salesforce, I'm going to go very quickly around this. Again, it's just protecting your Salesforce. Now, Salesforce doesn't run on Azure, but Salesforce is also a software as a service offering, right? And it also needs to be protected. We can use it to schedule more frequently our backups. There's, again, a granular recovery and compare. So a very nice tool for the people that are utilizing Salesforce. Again, like I mentioned, you can also have this running on premise. Okay. Data archival, unlimited storage, and safe sandbox seeding. So we can actually create those as well with our backups. Let's just have a look at the dashboard quickly. So also clean, same theme, right? Backup policies. You can be very granular with your backup policies and have backup policies from specific objects doing more frequently backups than other objects that maybe just needs once a day, as an example. We can also do data archival policies. So, if there are some older stuff that you want to take a backup of and then remove, we can also do that from that perspective. And then VDC Vault. Now, VDC Vault, again, with our conjunction with Microsoft, we've created a tenant, and this is a worldwide vault. South Africa will receive theirs in the end of this month, where users that are currently utilizing Veeam, Veeam Backup and Replication, so the normal VBR, can offload their backups as a second copy or a third copy into these VDC Vault, which is a very secure place where you can keep your backups. They are all immutable. They are secure. We cannot integrate with your data from a Veeam perspective. It's all yours, and that there is an exit strategy. All right. It's a self-managed vault in that sense that you can, today you have 5 terabytes of you can, within the portal, you can then buy more as you carry on. The nice thing, the great thing on this is the fact that we do not charge for any transaction costs. Okay, you won't have any bill shock at the end of the month because of the transaction costs. A lot of people forget anything you do within the cloud environment does unfortunately have a line item. Transactions are one of them. So if you read or if you write, you put something into an object storage, that will be a cost. But with utilizing Veeam Vault, there is no transaction costs in that. It is always immutable, air-gapped, encrypted. It's on demand, fully managed, and there's up to 12 nines of durability from our vaults. So that will give you this 32110 rule, which is for us very important. We make sure that we adhere to this 32110 rule to keep your data safe. Just a quick on the dashboard, again, very nice and clean. You can create storage vaults. So maybe you want them in different areas or different locations around the world, different data centers. You have the ability to create your own vaults in different regions as well. So that takes me to the end of my slide. Yeah, thank you for listening. Sorry that I had to rush a little bit here on the end, but yeah, happy to take any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Drian. Yes, we've got a couple of questions, so we're over time, but I do want to jump into these questions. Just a quick reminder, if you go over to the Office tab, you have an invitation there to join the Veeam User Group South Africa. Drop in there, hit that link, and then you can join the user group and find out more and chat with other peers as well. Okay, let's quickly jump through these questions to see. Okay, the first one is, guys, I'm not going to read out your names just to keep it quite and brief here, but does Veeam's data protection platform include threat hunting capabilities, and how does it work?
Yes, I'll take that one. So we can introduce, again, everything is immutable from that perspective. If we have a look at our Veeam data platform, which is our Veeam backup and replication, our data center offering and solution, yes, we can integrate those cyber resiliency tools, scanning, inline malware scans, etc. Yes, we can integrate with that. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there a plan to consolidate dashboards for customers using a few different VDC options?
Yes, there will be. That's we're going to that into that route. So yes, just keep an eye on when that will come out. Yes.
Great, thank you. How does Veeam's backup retention policy compare for daily, weekly, and yearly backups?
So it depends on which one we're talking about. If we're talking about the Office 365 backups or VDC for M365, that is you choose. You can create your own repositories. So you might have a repository for OneDrive as an example that needs to be kept for 1 year. You can create a repository for your Exchange that maybe needs to be kept for 7 years. When we start looking at things like Azure workloads, that's a different story. There we have dailies, weeklies, monthlies, yearlies that we can utilize. So yes, they have the different options will give you different retention features and functionalities. It just depends on which service that you utilize from us. Yes.
Excellent, thank you. How do the clients make sure that the automated backup is not corrupted? What frameworks are there to create resilience?
It depends because we've spoken about so many VDC options today, it will depend on which one, right? So obviously, yes, testing, scanning them, making sure that you can restore is obviously one of the reasons that you need to test so that you can make sure. If we are talking Veeam backup and replication, yes, we can make a plan. We can automate those tests to make sure that they can spin up. It will all depend on which service that they use.
Excellent. Thank you. How do the clients make sure that the automated backup is not corrupted? What frameworks are there to create resilience?
Again, it depends on which one we're talking about. If we're talking about the Office 365 backups or VDC for M365, that is you choose. You can create your own repositories. So you might have a repository for OneDrive as an example that needs to be kept for 1 year. You can create a repository for your Exchange that maybe needs to be kept for 7 years. When we start looking at things like Azure workloads, that's a different story. There we have dailies, weeklies, monthlies, yearlies that we can
Thank you. Some clarity on the egress cost. Is there no egress cost as well for recovering data back to on-premise?
Again, from a Veeam backup and replication perspective, no, there's no egress costs. However, there are two solutions within Vault. If we are talking Vault now, we have a Foundation and we have Advanced Edition. For now, South Africa will only get Foundation, but that will soon change. We know that we can only do Foundation. So you have a 20% fair usage policy when it comes to restoring and moving data, right? But again, yeah, we can have a separate discussion with regards to that. The Advanced Edition has no limitation on that, but yes, we're waiting for that to come.
Okay, excellent. Last question here. Does Veeam VDC Vault need the customer to have a cloud tenant account if they are using an offsite backup repo?
That will come, yes. If we're speaking about in one of Gareth's slides, what is coming is Veeam backup and replication. All right, so we will have a console for Veeam backup and replication as well, running within the VDC environment that you can manage your on-premise as an example, and you will be able to send your data wherever you want. Any S3 cloud compatible vendor, block storage really doesn't matter.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much for all that information. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but that has been great, giving, a lot more clarity on backup as a service, especially from Veeam's perspective, and some use cases to work around that. So just want to quickly thank our two guests here. Driaan Odendaal is a Senior Systems Engineer at Veeam Africa, as well as Gareth Clement, Senior Territory Manager at Veeam Africa. Guys, thank you very much for presenting here today and taking our questions.
Thanks, James. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, James. Thanks, everyone.
And also to our attendees, thank you very much as well. Please pop into the offer tab, join the Veeam user group for South Africa. Also contact events@itweb.co.za if you want more information on the presentations today or to reach out to Veeam. Keep an eye out. Within the next week, there will be a recording made available for this. But with that, I want to thank you for your time. You've joined us here. Veeam and ITWeb's webinar about Turn Up the BaaS with Veeam Data Cloud. My name is James Francis. I was your presenter for today. Please enjoy the weather out there, whether it's raining or sunshine. Always interesting out there. Please stay safe. Please make sure you have your backups, not just the backup service, but your planning, your testing. There's a lot around that. Hopefully, we will have our Veeam guests again back in the future, and they can unpack that more. But with that, thank you very much for joining us. Have a great day, and goodbye.
Thanks, James. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.